Hello, Louis.
Hello, Emma.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today we are going to go over the installation rules for temperature sensors on piping.
Alright, where should we start?
To start, there are general principles that apply to all temperature sensors on piping, and then we'll discuss the specific principles for cable sensors and surface-mounted sensors.
Very well, I'm listening.
First of all, you need to ensure that the operating conditions match the data provided by the manufacturer. Examine the physical principle and the basic conditions of the sensor. Also, check the visual condition of the sensors. Now we can move on to preparing the mounting support.
Okay.
Ensure that each measurement point has a nearby control tap. We can now move on to the electrical connection of the instruments.
Very well.
Always orient the cable entries downward. Ensure proper tightening of the screws and cable glands.
To ensure the protection rating, right?
Exactly. Also, keep some extra cable length for any unforeseen events, such as maintenance or calibration. Let's move on to the mechanical part now.
Okay.
Consider the thickness of the insulation when determining the insertion lengths and be careful not to compress the insulation materials of the pipes. We can now move on to labeling the instruments.
Oh, there's labeling to be done?
Yes, you need to mark the location of hidden instruments, such as under false ceilings. You should also place permanent labels with the tag number and other references. Finally, ensure labeling of the connection cables with appropriate labels at each end.
I suppose this is to know which cable is connected to which sensor.
Exactly. Let's get to the heart of the matter now that all the preparations are done. For insertion into the flow, consider a sufficient extension length to pass through the insulation and keep the connection box accessible. Ensure the tightness of the tap. Protect the thermal insulation from condensation. Always prefer mounting with a thermal well.
Oh really? Why?
Because it's safer and more practical in case of maintenance.
Oh, I see.
Fill the thermal well with thermal conductive paste to enhance thermal exchange with the fluid and optimize the response time. Make a clear and readable marking to warn of the risk when a sensor is mounted without a thermal well. The choice of the thermal well depends on its mechanical strength and compatibility with the fluid.
So I can't use the same thermal well for all my installations?
That's right. It will depend on the fluid present in the installation and the type of installation. Next, allow a distance of 10 to 15 times the pipe diameter downstream of any flow disturbance. For calorimetric measurements, use sensors both upstream and downstream of heat exchangers.
Okay, I understand.
Always install the sensor in the direction of flow, following the fluid's flow curve and favoring elbow or bypass mounts. The thermal wells should be inclined between 45 degrees and 90 degrees, depending on the pipe diameter. For diameters less than 50 millimeters, incline the thermal wells by 45 degrees. For larger diameters, the sensor should be perpendicular to the pipes. Once installed, the sensor or thermal well should be in the middle of the element it measures. That's all you need to know about installing temperature sensors on piping.
I had one more question. Should anything be considered for removal?
Good question. To ensure removal operations are feasible, check before installation that no obstacles, such as walls or ceilings, prevent the sensor's removal.
Thank you for this clarification.
Now let's move on to specific principles. Let's start with cable sensors. You should know that fluids can also be measured with a cable sensor. Mount it inside a thermal well to insert the entire active length. Finally, fill the thermal well with thermal conductive paste to enhance thermal exchange with the fluid and optimize the response time.
Okay, I understand.
For surface-mounted sensors now, clean the support thoroughly to make it smooth, clean, and free of grease. Apply thermal conductive paste to the pipe to enhance thermal exchange with the fluid and optimize measurement response time. Finally, tighten the sensor properly onto the pipe.
Very well, thank you for all this information. I can now install my temperature sensors on piping without making any mistakes.
Thank you for listening. We invite you to continue your learning through our other tutorials and to join us on our website www.eMoteek.net.